actually going to be talking about in this video. I think when it comes down to it, it's about time that the mask gets pulled off. I think it's about time that people start realizing the truth about what's going on behind the scenes. And, well, thankfully, I think it's about time the proof comes forward because there's plenty here to share. YouTube is not going to like this video because, well, they have had some secrets on this website for a long time, man. They've been doing a lot of very shady things in the background to kind of control they've been controlling the website almost like puppets on a string in a lot of weird ways, I think is a really good way to put it. And without the help of the people who helped in this entire thing, this wouldn't even be possible. If Nicholas Diorio, if Bo Blacks, if Josh Pescator, all of you did not come forward and help me in some way, shape, or form with this video, guys. I don't know. I don't know if this would even be possible. So many of you are probably aware of me posting on Twitter pretty late last night about a McJuggernuggets tweet that was later deleted, talking about some HTML code on videos on YouTube where you could essentially see something called your P-score here on YouTube, and you could also see a video's content rating. Well, guys, that's not it. We've dug a little bit further into this whole thing, and it goes much deeper. The rabbit hole, this thing tunnels pretty deep. So, first and foremost, I would like to bring to your attention a 14-page Google Docs document that I have created with the help of my three primary partners on this project, Bo Blacks, Josh Pescator, and Nicholas Diorio. Of course, I will be linking all of their social media down below for you to go check them out. Much respect to them, of course. And of course, the link to this document because, well, everything that I talk about today is pretty much in this document, and on top of that, as time goes on, there is a chance that we will be adding to this document, and on top of that, there is also going to be a spreadsheet for you guys to take a look at with over 200 indexed YouTubers with their P-scores for you to take a look at. We got a lot to dig into today, guys, because this whole conspiracy on YouTube has pretty much been unmasked in about, well, let's see here, 7 hours of work. Probably not the entire depths of it, and, well, probably not to the fullest extent that it could possibly be done, but, well, I think there's enough here to say pretty definitively what's going on here on the platform. And if this isn't what's going on here on the platform, then YouTube has a lot of explaining to do when it comes down to it, because as you're going to see with a lot of this evidence here, which by the way, I'm going to be showing you how not only can you pull this evidence up for yourself on any YouTube video on this platform, but also how you'll be able to pull up your own creator scores and your own content rankings to basically see how YouTube has been judging you this entire time. But if this isn't truly the smoking gun of all the conspiracies here on YouTube over the last, few years, then, well, within YouTube, I would love to know why some of these words are put into the code when they shouldn't be there for any other reason. But one of YouTube's bigger conspiracies and one of YouTube's bigger problems, I guess, within the creator community has always been that YouTube has been internally ranking and judging creators based on everything that they do essentially behind closed doors, which obviously is a problem because number one, we have no access to this data, which means that we can't improve as creators, and number two, because all of the benchmarks for this data that they use to judge us are completely secretive as well, so we don't really know what we're being judged on. They could be judging us on literally anything and we have no clue what it is. These have both been pretty definitively cracked with this one, so YouTube has something with Google called the P-score. This is also called the preference score. Now, according to YouTube advertisers, on April 10th of 2019, a video with only 8,000 views, because go figure, they would never share this video on the YouTube creators outlet or anything where, people would actually want to see it at. There are 5 internal components to this score. Number 1 is popularity. This is heavily driven by your watch time, which is something that the algorithm here on YouTube has been historically pretty favorable on. Another one is something called passion, which is essentially just a keyword for engagement. So people who have fans who will engage your content with more likes or comments, you will do better with passion. Then they have protection, which is essentially just how suitable is your content for advertisers. Are you edgy? Are you family friendly? Yeah, who knows? You don't. Then there's platform. This is beneficial to content that is frequently watched on larger screens or platforms where things like YouTube TV are pretty common. And it also seems to be targeting these growing audiences in places where YouTube is starting to boom, like in India, although I can't really confirm this. And then the last one is production, which somehow focuses on content that uses high quality editing, camera footage, and more, which means that the better your production value, most likely, the better your score in this area. Now, ideally, if you make the following type of content, you're going to do great with these P scores, okay? If you have, 10 plus minute videos with 45% or better viewer retention per video, with a highly driven fan base that shares your content, likes your videos more than average people, comments your opinions a lot. You have, family friendly content, little to no swearing. You're not really going outside of the advertiser guidelines and whatnot. You're really sticking to it. Content that can be watched on all devices and all platforms and really in all markets with ease. And then, of course, content that focuses on high production values and good quality. This essentially should make your P score higher than the average user, especially at, well, where your channel should be for its size. Now, when it comes down to it, it appears to actually be more overall scores of an account in general, because P scores are not just on accounts that are monetized. Accounts that are not monetized also have P scores, which mean that if you've ever uploaded a video on YouTube and you have like 3 subscribers, chances are you also have one of these preferred scores, which means that essentially YouTube has judged and rated you based on what you've put onto their platform, which means that they already basically have an internal number that determines, how marketable you are. Now, of course, these are horrible when it comes down to it, at least for creators, because, well, we have no idea about the inner workings of these things. We don't know the individual numbers that build up this one unique number. We have no idea how we can figure out the formula. We have no input on any of this. You could mix and match between these 5 things to make problems for channels, but you'll never fully reach your potential if you can't identify any of these issues. And of course, every channel is pretty much going to have an issue with at least one of these 5 things. And Google knows that, and they know that people have these issues. But they don't alert creators, and they don't give them an opportunity to access this without finding a weird exploit to get to it, like going through the HTML code of every single video on the platform until they just magically find it. Now, another thing for P scores here is that they appear to be region-based. While we were obtaining scores for creators in the United States, we noticed that we were getting different scores from Bo Blacks, who is a Canadian creator. Now, he estimated that the average Canadian P-score value for creators was, quote, about 20 points less. Now, of course, we wanted to test this theory, so we used a VPN from the US to appear as a Canadian user, and we matched up the numbers perfectly. We have the evidence. P-scores do appear to be region-based. So, with all of this in mind, we've been able to hypothesize with this information that these personal scores or these preference scores, with them, channels seem to do better in their home countries. Channels that don't do better in their home countries generally have an extremely large fan base outside of this location abnormally. So a good example would be like NHL, the hockey league here in the US. It's really large in Canada. It's actually larger in P-score value than it is outside of the US. And also, our 20-point guess was off, at least, well, with the limited data that we tested. Obviously, we can't go through every single user on the platform yet, so... Of course, I do want to go ahead and point out that we did gather data and test it out on 200 channels on our other document, which of course is linked down below. So now that we've kind of, discussed what these P-scores are and whatnot, let's go ahead and show you how to figure out your own P-score or your own video ratings, or actually any P-score or any video rating for anyone on the platform. So you literally just go to a video from anyone that you want to use to obtain this P-score. So if you're doing this for yourself, go to one of your own videos. You right-click, you view the page source, or you inspect the element. You got to do this on desktop. Then you're going to want to use Control F to pull up the advanced search feature, because it'll help you comb through your code of this whole thing, and it'll let you isolate what you're looking for. And then you're going to want to paste in content label rating. Now this is going to pull up the pieces that you need to figure out everything you want. And you're going to want to look for things like this, your channel P-score. That's going to tell you, obviously, your channel's P-score. But alternatively, you want to look for things like DV underscore and then the rating, to figure out your video ratings. Speaking about that, video ratings, right? That's been something that, it's been talked about pretty heavily on YouTube for a long time. Video ratings. Nobody really knows what's up with those because they won't tell us anything about them. Well, at least we have a better idea about them now because, well, video ratings seem to be extremely important not only to an individual video success, but to overall channel success, which is awesome because nobody knows what's going on about them or anything. So if your video is marked as a higher rated video, going rated X, mature, things like that, being an adult rated video essentially, that appears to have negative implications compared to being a family friendly video. And of course, with this, we've just confirmed something that YouTube has been extremely secretive about for a very long time: the rating system for videos on their platform. As of right now, we know of 6 categories for age ratings for these videos. For myself, I mostly fit into the teen rating, which actually seems to be kind of our average on YouTube. A lot of content that we looked at over YouTube actually fits into the teen section for some reason. Now, we'll go from best to worst here. You got rated Y, which is like the best content, it's good for everyone. You can show it to grandma, the dog, mom, yourself, you're fine. Then you got rated G. It's some of the safest stuff, family friendly, no guidelines, problems. It's going to get high CPMs. Then you got rated PG. It's safe. It's family friendly most of the time. It actually will get good CPMs, and usually it probably will boost your P scores due to it having a boost in the protection category. Then there's rated teen, which is kind of like a gray area because it's teetering that edge of safe and not safe. Sometimes it's family friendly. Most of the time it isn't. Usually it'll get an okay CPM or a decent one unless there's a guideline issue that's going to limit the ads on the video or demonetize it. Then there's rated mature, which is generally just not safe. Almost never family friendly. If so, probably by error. It's probably going to get lower CPMs if it's monetized due to it being limited. And then of course, rated X. Never safe, never monetized, age restricted by default, deemed problematic. You've been a bad boy if you've done this one. So obviously, when you look at how they've structured all this, you're going to realize that they've been internally judging creators' videos on this scale for a while without telling anyone. Once again, not giving anyone a chance to play fairly. Not too much of a surprise. However, you're going to notice a lot of the times the definitions are not clear. Now, we looked at a lot of videos, okay, to make sure we knew what we were talking about. Now, a lot of them, for some reason, were always rated teen. Even if they had no swearing, didn't really seem like there was anything wrong with them, they seemed decently family friendly, they were being rated teen. But when you look into them, you'll notice that they have code in them that deem them not family safe, even if they are teen rated, which means that they're most likely not getting recommended as much. Now, if this is the case, this means if you're getting ranked above anything that's PG, you're risking spots probably in the algorithm, and you're probably risking ad revenue to a certain extent. This is all right in YouTube's code for these videos. You can literally right-click on this video right now, and you can view the page code and it will probably come up. It might not work within like the first hour or two of the whole video coming out, depending on whether or not this is based on the video having to have been manually reviewed, which was an issue that we commonly actually ran into. But if this isn't a problem, then it probably is going to come right up for you. But if this content isn't family friendly because, well, it's not safe or whatever for them to recommend, and it's not going to make as much money, basically, they're not going to recommend it, right? So I think that proves enough of a point right there. So if you're in the Y or G section of the ratings, you're good to go. Now here is where things get very dark. You know what I'm saying? They get kind of sad because the implications of this honestly ruin people's lives. We're talking about people losing their jobs, losing out on money, because YouTube is essentially stealing from them without demonetizing them, without giving them any reason, really, without any knowledge that they could use to possibly better themselves. And having looked on my videos and seen this happen to me, it's almost depressing, because not only do you realize that you as a creator have basically been taken advantage of by YouTube, you also realize that your channel is growing slower than it should be because YouTube is basically just judging you in the background, and they're doing it without telling you. But throughout our research, we kept noticing several references throughout nearly every video rated teen or above that would be labeled as a throttle. And these are pieces of code in the video. You can go and find these in pretty much any video that's rated teen, that's monetized, as anything, You can go into the Google Doc and you can find the videos that we've cited, and you can find these pieces of code just by searching for them. Now, I want you to take a look at this, and I want you to look and see what it's saying. So, this one piece of code here says that this feature video is throttled for super safe. This feature video is throttled for MPU. This feature video is throttled for overlay. This is the end of the canceled YouTuber Zaptai Part 2 by Nicholas Diorio, one of the people who helped me work on this whole project. He's also going to be releasing something about this whole thing, I assume. He's been working hard on this as well. That seems kind of weird, right? Featured video is throttled. Now, YouTube, what does that mean? What does it mean when a featured video is throttled? Why don't you go ahead and explain that one to us? You haven't done that before. What does it mean when a video is throttled for super safe? What does it mean when a video is throttled for overlay? What does that mean? Tell us, please. It doesn't matter. They don't have to tell you, because I'm going to tell you here in a minute. And I'm going to pull some more of the code. And I'm going to read it out to you. Now, there's another creator who we looked at. His name is Some Ordinary Gamers, Mutahar. A lot of you might know him, okay? He made a video called Playing the Controversial Modern Warfare Mission. Literally just him playing a video game. Okay, just gameplay in the background, him having a good old time playing Call of Duty. For most of us, this would not be something that we would see as extreme. Now, from what we understand, there are two different types of throttling, and we can kind of equate these to two different ways. Okay, there's brand safety throttling, which are advertisement throttling. Then there's the featured video throttling, which honestly we think is just algorithmic, which means that they're just bringing less traffic to your video because they deem it insensitive, or they think that it's violent or aggressive, or it's infracting on the rules in some way, right? Well, it makes constant reference to brand safety ads being throttled, and the reason being brand safety. Disable Google sold reservation ads. Wow, YouTube, I thought you guys didn't throttle anything, and you guys didn't interfere in any processes when it came down to it, huh? So what's that all about? So I decided to pull some of the code to show you guys right here. This is a piece of code that we found really peculiar from this example. As you can see here, label, disable the Google sold reservation ad. Value true, reason, user insensitive session. This is a video in which he's playing quote-unquote violent first-person shooter, just having a good old time. He's in a sensitive session playing a video game, and so the value is true that he is going to have some of his Google sold reservation ads disabled. There's a reason listed, but do you think that he's demonetized, or that he was told that this happened? I really doubt that that happened. I really doubt that Google let him know that that went down. And you know why I doubt that that happened? Because the same thing happened to me on several of my videos, and all the videos are green. They're green monetized, and everything else, no notifications from Google that anything was going wrong. Now take a look here at the throttling in the algorithm. Label, featured video is throttled for overlay. Label, featured session is a sensitive video. This suggests that while the video is having certain aspects of the monetization throttle, the video was also monitored to see what type of content was shown. Now, obviously, he's playing a video game which fictionalizes violence. Seems like it was noticed, which, of course, led to the ads being removed in some spots without letting him know, but on top of that, it appears that the throttling also carries beyond that advertising and, well, of course, suppresses that video through the algorithm in some way due to the gameplay, and it seems like YouTube accidentally let that one slip through in the code. So if you want to figure out if your video is being suppressed or throttled in any way, just literally look for that in the code. Now, here's the thing. We don't have a confirmed definition of throttling from Google. You know, it could mean, I guess, anything to them. But the truth is we know what it probably means. We know that it probably means that they're suppressing people's videos in the algorithm, and that they're suppressing the ads on them because they don't like the content. The evidence is there. The wording seems really odd if that isn't the case. If they aren't suppressing people because of the video content, why is it worded that way? Why would they ever use the word throttling if they're not actually throttling the traffic to the video or throttling the amount of ad revenue that the video can make? So just in case when YouTube eventually comes out and says, oh, well, we don't actually throttle anything, just want you guys to remember this because, well, I mean, their code seems to indicate otherwise. Now here's something on that kind of note that I wanted to dig up and address with the team here. Thank you to Pescator, of course, for digging this one up for me because, well, he remembered this whole thing went down and pulled this one up. But Team YouTube kind of addressed this whole thing back in April. And this is about the same time, according to, well, our rough time frame of when all these changes took place around April, according to when that video went up April 10th, so it seems like this is around that time. But they say, just wanted to clarify our recommendations, search and discovery systems do not look at a video's monetization status, so a yellow icon will not limit a video in recommendations. More details about this here. Seems like technically they didn't lie. It isn't the recommendations and the search and discovery that's looking at the video's monetization status. The video is going to get ads taken away regardless, especially if it's got violent video gameplay in the background, you know what I'm saying? So it's not technically a lie. I mean, at face value, yeah, it is kind of a lie because they are in a way demonetizing you without telling you. They are, holding your video back without telling you. According to their own code, they're quote unquote throttling the video, but yeah, they're not doing it because of this. They're doing it because of other reasons. So it isn't technically a lie. And YouTube's gotten really good at doing this, of doing these little these where they kind of walk their way around the problem. Big sinkhole in the middle of the street. Drive your car around it. You know what I'm saying? Don't actually address the problem head on. But at this point, we're completely in the dark with everything going on here. YouTube has developed all this and implemented all this. We have no idea how they're going to react. Chances are they'll probably fix these exploits altogether to get your P-score and other people's P-score pretty soon, probably within hours or days. It's best you get your information now if you can, just in case there is no other way to get it. But in reality, we just want everyone to know that this is going on. YouTube is suppressing people's content. YouTube is suppressing people's monetization for things without telling them. And it's all in the code. You do have an internal ranking system in the background. Oh, and by the way, let's take a look at the background, okay? Let's take a look at the ranking system and see who's on top. Take a look at the top 10, okay? Take a look at the top 10 scores here in the United States. Isn't it a shocker that these are a lot of the people that we've been complaining about coming on YouTube and taking over the trending section and taking over the platform? Isn't that a miracle? The same people we've been complaining about stepping in and taking over YouTube, the old place where people like me and you could come onto the platform and make it as ourselves as content creators, are now literally the top of this platform, the top of this metric. That's incredible, isn't it? It's simply incredible. I mean, look at those numbers. Stephen Colbert, 1047, BBC News at 1008. That rounds out your first and 10th spots, folks. Just take a look at that. Let's see where I rank. On this list, I'm 96th. I have 801 as my score, okay? I'm 200 score